All right, everybody, happy Talk Travel Tuesday. So today we're going to talk about branding. A lot of people get stuck on branding, so I wanted to try and make it as simple as possible. That perfection is like something that can always be evolving, right? You just want to get it done and get it so that you love it, and then you can always be changing it. So I've been in the business now 4 years. Um, I've been booking travel and I have changed my niche a little bit here and there. Started with family travel, moved over to all inclusive and adult travel. And so my brand has changed as I've kind of changed that niche. So I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how to kind of get started. So when you're thinking of branding, you're thinking of things like your business card, your website, but also your social media is really important. So taking a look, I'll show you my social media if that's a little bit helpful. And to be honest, everything that I do in terms of branding, I do in Canva. It makes it very simple. You can do a lot of things on the free version, and then you can also upgrade to the version if you want a little bit more features. So just looking at social media here, my Facebook business page has evolved completely. I used to have this picture, this profile picture, be my husband and I, and then I've moved it more over to myself. Where my husband does a ton of marketing, I'm truly the one who's actually booking all the travel. So I ended up going and getting a headshot done, and I really loved. So I use that in all of my branding now. I wanted it to be professional, approachable, a little bit more professional than fun. Some people, when they think of travel, they think of fun. I wanted to go a little bit more of the professional approach. Completely up to you and the way you want to serve your clients and what kind of clients you want to deal with. So if you're family brand, maybe you want a picture of you and your kids or the brands that you serve. So if it's, Disney or Universal, you might want some sort of picture like that. Whereas my background, I love sandals and I find this picture to be very calm, very relaxing, um, very unique and definitely a goal of mine, kind of a bucket list trip of mine. So that's my background. So that's my branding. Also, in terms of things that I post, it's going to be a little bit more elevated. That's just that's the brand that I like to exhibit. So for Instagram, I like to stick a little bit more with this. The feed is a little different, so I like to stick a little more with the blue brand. But as I was saying, it's always evolving. So something that I fell in love with is just like giving me some sort of consistency was creating a travel tip Tuesday, just like a talk travel Tuesday. It seems to be the day of the week when I have the most inspiration and it's quieted down a little bit. Friday's a little busier, Monday's a little busier. So on Tuesday, I kind of have more of a consistent flow, at least in my business, in my life. So I like that blue background and I'll kind of show you a little bit deeper into the post. I keep one to be each to be very similar. I put a logo here, my name, and my website. I usually don't give out my phone number simply because I just can't answer the phone. I do have 3 kids, so it's a little bit of a different lifestyle. And then again, I have my headshot here, and I try and keep everything pretty consistent. I did just start up thinking I'm going to add in Mondays too because I know Mondays are so busy. I thought, I'm going to start automating a few of these. And I don't truly automate, but I try and just keep it looking similar. So I do bulk create in Canva, and I do have a training on that too, on how you can bulk create. So just creating a bunch of quotes that are inspirational, and then using that same kind of bottom of the post to make everything look very similar. So that's my branding there. When it comes to branding, you can go to Canva. Again, I do have the paid version. So you can pop in here and I would just start with a logo and find something that speaks to you and colors that speak to you and kind of stick with that um, throughout. But you can always change it. You can always be evolving. So you can, find something that looks good to you. If you want something more elegant, simple, minimalist, modern, clean, retro, luxury, any of that, right? So you could feel like elegant is kind of my style, going through categories, going to logos, and let's see what kind of search this pops up in terms of templates. So down here, you want to find something that speaks to you. I will say when you move into the elegant theme, it definitely becomes much more minimalist. So a lot more black and white, a lot more like not as many colors and not as many images as well. So if you like that, that might be something that is a real simple way to get the very first logo done. And then you can build in some colors as you decide what you want your brand to look like. But that helps to get you off the blank page, finding something that really speaks to you. Um, One of the biggest things I see is that people will use their logo in their profile picture, and people do want to see what you look like and have an idea of who they're working with. So I highly encourage you, while you might start out with your logo being your profile picture, maybe move it over towards an image of you so that people know who to get in touch with, right? So who you are, who you help is really important too, and having that in mind at all times, and what you can help them experience, right? So just from my perspective, I like to help people with Caribbean travel. I do also book some Europe travel, but Caribbean is really where my heart is. So I really do love the ocean. So if you can kind of see a little bit of a flow of Caribbean and ocean views and conversation in my feed, that's really where my wheelhouse is. So just understanding that you really don't need to hire a designer or spend weeks stuck in Canva. You really just want to pick some brand colors, choose some fonts that really look good to you, and then just create something super simple and then kind of flow with it. And again, you can kind of find things that you like you can look at other branding. This is Sandals, see the fonts that they use, and then work that into your branding and your logo, and then try and stay a little more consistent. I am not as consistent as you can kind of see, but the more consistent it'll just make it easier for you each time you do it if you're using similar fonts. So top things you want to be branded on, something like Facebook, move into Instagram, any other social media platform you like. So you can do things like LinkedIn, you can do TikTok, you can do threads, anything like that. And then just making sure that you have a bio at the top that makes sense. Again, telling who you are, who you help, what kind of trips are your favorite things, and why you love to do what you do so that people know, who they're working with and what it is exactly that your focus is, right? Because we talked about niche before, it all ties together. So do you focus on a particular destination? Do you focus on a different brand or a typical client? That is all going to help to define your brand. So just for an action step today, choose those colors, choose fonts, make a logo inside Canva if you haven't already. You can share something in the school group. Let us know what your logo and your branding looks like. And then make sure you just update and keep your social profiles consistent. And then post that first intro, just introducing yourself and your brand. So if you need any help, you can always put something in the comments and we'd love to help you.